the number one upset, the lead story, the number one team in the country, Alabama, goes down at Vanderbilt, of all things. Vanderbilt, of all things. 0-60 against top 5 teams. Vanderbilt does the unthinkable and beats Alabama. Let me go to a man who is in the state of Tennessee right now. I speak, of course, of the international streaming star, Ronnie T-Shirts. And Ronnie, if you love a good upset, this was your weekend in college football.
It was just an awesome day just to be a college football fan. And, just the text back and forth between my friends, like, are you watching this? Like, holy shit, I can't believe this is happening. Then, a lot of us, bet online with, our preferred bookie, like legal bookie, of course, now. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, load up on Alabama because, the line changes and it's like Alabama's just going to come back from this and they're going to kill Vanderbilt in the second half. And it just didn't happen. Yeah, crazy, man. Crazy. And then what else did we have, Ricky? I don't have the list in front of me. So Missouri got hammered by Texas A&M. Texas A&M's a good team, so that's not a crazy upset. The one that upset me a lot was, Michigan losing to Washington. That was devastating in my household. What else do we have, Ricky?
That one hurt you a little bit.
Yeah, it did.
We had Tennessee.
Oh, Tennessee, Arkansas.
Number 4 Tennessee going down.
That was so. Imagine if there had been a first half over under of 3.5 points. I think it's 2.5 points, right? And you'd have bet everything in your entire life that it would have gone over. I mean, there were 3 points scored in the first half of that game, like crazy. And then
Tennessee's been a scoring machine.
Yeah,
this season. Maybe the most high-powered offense that we've seen until this week.
Yeah, and then Arkansas, quarterback got knocked out at the end of the game, and so they did their comeback with a backup quarterback that really isn't a passing quarterback, and they did it. So yeah, dude, it was great. And then there was another upset that I went to bed, and it was an upset. Cal was up 25 points on Miami. I was exhausted. It's hard work watching college football all day, as a lot of people know. And then
somehow you endure. I don't know. You're an American hero.
I am. And then I get up and do it the next day with pro football, which 15 and a half hours of NFL football yesterday. It was insane. But
yeah,
I went to bed and Cal was up 35-10. And I woke up in the middle of the night, as I unfortunately always do. And I looked at my phone.
Gotta pee.
Gotta pee,
Ron.
Gotta pee.
They make medicine for that, I think. They probably advertise it during all the games that you're watching.
Is your prostate too big? But Miami came back 25 points. Like, there was no way. Like, I kind of had to do that head shake thing. Like, are my eyes seeing what I'm seeing? Because I saw the final score of 39-38. I'm like, I cannot be reading this correctly. So there was almost another upset. So yeah, it was amazing, like absolutely amazing. And it now makes you wonder, like, because this week coming up, this coming Saturday, there's all these big games that people have had circled forever. October 12th. And like, how are these games going to live up to what we saw our Saturday? But you were talking about so they took the goalpost down at Vanderbilt Stadium, and they walked the goalpost. I think 3.5. Oh, there we go, 3.5 miles.
Look at that.
3.5 miles down Broadway, and I don't know if you haven't been to Nashville in recent years. Broadway is an absolute shit show on Friday and Saturday nights. Like, just an absolute horde of people, right? Just throngs of humanity. And they're look at that. They took it down and then they dumped it in the Cumberland River. And good for them, man. Like, it's one of the fun things about going to college and going to a college that plays in at least against big football teams, and they finally got to feel what this feels like. Like this will last a lifetime for these kids.
And they trolled Nick Saban. They played there on the Jumbotron. Nick Saban saying the only place that's not hard to play in the SEC is Vanderbilt. Well, how hard does it seem now? Look at that.
Yep.
Into the goddamn river. That's the great thing, Ron, about college football is it gives you the opportunity for upsets and moments of a magnitude that the NFL just doesn't afford you.
No.
I mean, it's rare to see an NFL team that's more than if an NFL team is a 2-touchdown underdog, that is a unbelievably huge NFL underdog. So we don't get to see upsets that necessarily become iconic. This is immediately iconic in the history of Vanderbilt football. They'll be talking about this 50 years from now, and deservedly so. I mean, good for them. 40-35. Vanderbilt going into the game 11-38 this decade. That was Vandy's record in the 20s before taking down Kalen DeBoer's Alabama squad.
Yeah.
So pretty remarkable. We had USC losing to Minnesota as well. 5 of the top 11 teams in the AP poll lost on Saturday, and 4 of those 5 lost to unranked teams. But let's take a look at the poll that we care about the most here around OutKick, and that is the OutKick Elite Top 12. So let's pull that up and take a look at where things stand here after a very active Saturday full of upsets. You can see here is your brand spanking new OutKick Elite Top 12. And Ronnie, the top 4 we choose among the Power 4 conferences. So that's why you're going to see Miami 3 and BYU 4. That's how we do it here at OutKick.
I was just about to say, man, 4, BYU, no chance.
Yeah, Miami looking a little shaky there at 3 too, if that was the reason. So
yes.
I want to make sense of this poll for everyone, because I think with the Elite Top 12, we're not really trying to do the same thing that you see in the AP Top 25 or the ESPN or what have you. We are trying to basically keep our finger on the pulse of the only thing that's going to matter at the end of this season, which is what are the 12 teams that are going to be in the playoff. And that's why you see Boise State there as well.
Yep.
Because we always rank that team, right? So there you go. If the college football playoffs were to start today, this is how our expert panel and me, because I'm not going to give myself the expert title, but I am a part of this process, and this is how it shakes out right now. Ron, what do you see here as you look at the college football season, at where we stand? Any surprises and anything that you expect to see change in the coming weeks?
Well, I could tell you I'd rather be the 4th seed than the 2nd seed. Like BYU get to play Boise State, Oregon winner. Look at Texas. Texas would have to play probably Alabama. Miami, probably Tennessee. Ohio State would have to play Georgia. That doesn't seem very fair. Like, I'd like to see these things reseeded a bit. Yeah, I don't think BYU will be there in the end. Not quite sure who will be there, but the Big 12 is just, I just think, gosh, I think the Big 12 team could have 2, maybe 3 losses that comes out of there. Miami, well, you know who's undefeated right now in the ACC is Pittsburgh. They're 5-0. So nobody's talking about Pittsburgh right now. I don't think Miami's very good, dude. That's 2 weeks in a row. You probably didn't see any highlights of the Miami California game?
I did not.
So there was on Miami's last drive, or right before the last drive, there was a targeting call on uh, Miami that actually it looked like it was textbook targeting, and they didn't call it. And so it's almost like Miami got bailed out by the refs 2 weeks in a row. So I don't necessarily think Miami's that good. They're winning, but I don't think they're that good. I will say one thing back to kind of, we were showing the video of the kids taking the goalpost down Broadway. The one thing that I've kind of noticed this season, and it makes me feel good, is with the whole NIL and kids making a shit ton of money in the transfer portal and all that kind of stuff, it started to feel like, oh, is this just professionals? And the truth is, even when the quarterback is driving a Lamborghini, and even when your wide receiver is making $1 million, and even when you've got a linebacker that's a mercenary hired gun that had played somewhere else last year and now he's on your team, man, it still matters. It still matters so much to the fans. Like if you saw the in Fayetteville, like those fans were going insane when they beat Tennessee. And obviously we saw what happened at Vanderbilt, and they rushed the field in Minneapolis when Minnesota beat USC. So I'm glad that it still matters, because that's why I love college football, is because it like galvanizes a community, and it gives you this sense of belonging, and it matters. And that makes me happy that it still matters.
Ron, I think the moral of the story is you get enough drunk 21-year-olds together in the same place, and you can't prevent awesome things from happening sometimes. In recent years, we've seen colleges, they're discouraging people from taking the goalposts down. And I think we need to get back to that. This is a time-honored, cherished American tradition. The goalposts need to come down when there's a big upset. And I'm glad that those kids in Nashville did what they needed to do. Ronnie, let's go to the poll of the day, my friend, over at Super 70 Sports. It's a brand new week, and it's time for the eagle to fly high, Ron. And today's poll, I thought, was pretty good. I tried to bring it strong. Whoever wins this poll is going to be a Championship Friday contender, Ron, because I don't want to say that this is the strongest poll that we've ever had, but I think it's up there. There are no bad options in this poll, Ron. Let's start with hot showers. I don't know who doesn't like a nice hot shower. I like to enjoy one every morning before this program, Ron, to get my head right.
Great. Now everybody's thinking about you naked.
Well, viewership skyrocketing now, Ron. Prince, maybe the greatest musical genius that we've seen since the Beatles, arguably one of the greatest of all time. We've got Reese's Cups, which I'm going to say is arguably America's favorite candy chocolate confection. And then baseball cards, which I don't know if you were collecting baseball cards back in the 70s, Ron, but it's been a big part of my life. So we've got 4 pretty tasty options here. As always, break it down for me, Ronnie T-shirts.
Yeah, I would have liked you to had put sports cards instead of baseball cards. I think that would have been a little bit more inclusive, because I guess I probably had some baseball cards, but I was more into football and basketball cards. And I still I bought a shit ton of hoops in 1990 thinking that they were going to be worth something. And I think they're worth less today than they were when I bought them in 1990. I still have them in my closet.
Is that the David Robinson set?
I think so. And the Menendez brothers are are in the crowd behind Mark Jackson. Maybe is the Mark Jackson card, I think. So I mean, I guess I could open them up and see if I could find any of those.
You're right.
I absolutely love Reese's cups, but my favorite Reese's is Fast Break. If you've never had a Fast Break, go get a Fast Break today. They are amazing. Uh, sure, hot showers, but I picked Prince. Like Prince is, I mean, you know my Prince story, Ricky, but Prince is Prince is the best. Lori and I got to see Prince in an impromptu concert when we lived in Minneapolis in 1990. He announced it on a Thursday, and we went and saw him on a Sunday. We sat 40 feet from the stage. The tickets were $10 a piece, and it was freaking amazing.
So you're voting Prince. Do you think Prince will win? How do you handicap it when you look at it analytically, Ronnie?
I really don't know, Ricky. I mean, I would think Prince is going to win, but I don't know. I would say Prince is going to win.
Well, there's only one way to find out where we stand, and that's by throwing it to producer Tim, who is thinking hard about baseball cards, but he pivots to the Reese's Cups. Look at that. Hot showers.
Prince is in fourth.
Prince is in last place right now.
Oh
I
God.
almost feel bad about putting him in the poll now. Last night's Sunday night football game was pretty good. It was weird, delayed by lightning. Steelers Cowboys, which again, for people of a certain age, still has a marquee appeal. Two pretty good teams, not great, but good. And we got a nice finish in that game. I enjoyed it. Your thoughts on Sunday night football?
You know, I just don't feel like Dak Prescott is worth $55 million. I mean, I guess he's worth it because that's what the market says that a top quarterback is. But man, he just isn't. He's not elite. Like you feel like he should be elite at this point, and he is just not elite. I mean, Justin was fine. His receivers dropped a couple balls. He didn't look great, but he was fine. I just feel like
Russell Wilson's going to be ready to come back and take his job. You know it's happening, Ronnie. It's going to happen. Russell's going to get the nod.
It's going to be interesting to see if that does happen, how he plays. But I just feel like the Cowboys are 3-2 right now, and they easily could be. I mean, they got that last touchdown by what? Less than 6 inches. They could easily be 2-3
as close as it gets.
Yeah, they could easily be 2-3 right now, and Dak is the highest paid player on that team, and he just I don't see it, man. I don't see it with him. He is not taking that team to a Super Bowl. Hell, he's not taking that team to a playoff victory, most likely.
Well, I've said on this show, I think he's the most overrated player in the NFL. At least I think I've said it on this show. I've said it in life more than once. If I haven't said it on this program, let me go ahead and go on the record with that right now. When I was on Will Cain's show a while back, we were talking about that contract, and Will's a big Cowboys fan, as you know, and it's one of those things. He is overpaid, but what Jerry Jones is 137 years old, and he's got more money than God, and he would like to win a Super Bowl. So Jerry Jones overpaid Dak Prescott because what was his alternative going to be? What was the alternative going to be? So I understand the contract. I think the contract is excessive, but I get why Dallas did it. But I don't think that Dak is an elite quarterback. He's like in that next tier below elite for me. And I'll tell you who could be dropping to below elite, Ronnie, and that is an almost 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers, who yesterday, across the pond against the Minnesota Vikings, he threw 3 interceptions, and that is only the 6th time in his illustrious career that he has had a 3-interception game. And it's only the 3rd 3-interception game that he's had in the last 15 years, Ronnie. The Jets fall to 2-3, and Aaron Rodgers, great as he is, I'm never going to write him off, We're 5 games into a season after he missed an entire season last year. So I want to pump the brakes on declaring a legend to be washed up. But it seems like maybe the descent from the peak of the peak of the peak, where he has resided for a long time, the initial descent at least may have begun with Aaron Rodgers as he approaches 41 years of age.
Yeah, I don't think there's really much shame in that. I mean, isn't Brady the only one that's ever kind of defied the whole age situation? I mean, everybody else kind of, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's look, I mean, sometimes you'll have Tom Brady was older than Rodgers when he won the Super Bowl in Tampa Bay. So is it possible that Aaron Rodgers rights the ship? It's very possible. Look, I mean, he's one of the best that there's ever been, but I think you've got to wonder a little bit at least. Let's take a look at what I've been tweeting, if we may, over at Super 70 Sports on X, where I do what I do on a daily basis. Yeah, what am I tweeting? I like it. I like the fact that the Heat Miser makes an appearance in that role there. Here's one. I was watching the Bears game yesterday, Ronnie. A nice performance for Caleb Williams and the Bears as they beat the Panthers 36-10 at Soldier Field. But I was looking at Dave Canales, the Panthers head coach, and I said, I remember when NFL coaches looked like Vince Lombardi and Tom Landry. Now they look like DJs that are going to offer your girlfriend cocaine while you're taking a piss. Look at this guy. Can't you just imagine the beat? You need Al Jarreau to beatbox whatever it sounds like in the club that Dave Canales is spinning tunes and doing ecstasy in. What happened to the gravitas of the NFL head coach, Ron?
Well, I think part of it is these coaches are just so much younger now, and they try to out-sexy each other. That's for sure. Like these coaches, they got these well groomed beards and their hair. Look at his hair. And then I think part of it too is the fact that they're not wearing their suits or their sports jackets anymore. I think that goes a long way for the look too.
Yeah, he's just wearing like a t-shirt and these tight slacks and just walking around. He's young. I don't know how, these coaches, they're younger now too.
Oh,
Mike
so
McDaniel and
Yep.
Sean McVay and all of these guys, they're young. They don't look like coaches used to look.
Nope.
Coaches used to look like the guy that was bullying people when they were in school, and now the coaches, maybe not Canales, but a lot of these coaches, they just look like kind of nerds who just don't fit what you think you would see if you looked up NFL head coach in the dictionary or whatever.
Well, last night's
I don't think
game,
you would find that in a dictionary, but
last night's game had two kind of more old school, like Tomlin and McCarthy. Those look like football coaches.
When I was a kid, I thought Lovey Howell was about 88 years old. Now I'm like, there was a pretty strong third option on that island. Ronnie, the question has always been Marianne or Ginger, but
I'm still passing on her, Ricky. Sorry.
You're look how she's lovely. And Jim Backus is like younger than either one of us right there.
Yeah, probably. I know, but listen, the thing is you have a bow fetish. I don't, and that bow is just you can't look past that bow. So
she looks like Madonna in the Material Girl video. And Madonna looks a lot worse at the age that Madonna is. Now, Madonna's scary now, but Lovey Howell was very attractive.
How about
this?
You have my attention. Now you have my attention.
A lot of people don't know this. Raquel Welch auditioned for the role of Marianne on Gilligan's Island. We had Tim Kirkjian telling us that Carroll O'Connor, Archie Bunker himself, auditioned to be the skipper. Can you imagine a world where Raquel Welch was Mary Ann and Carroll O'Connor was the skipper? But look at Raquel Welch. She looks like you took all the best parts of Ginger and you took all the best parts of Mary Ann and you just combined them into one stowaway.
I mean, that's just perfection.
Castaway. Sorry. There were no stowaways on the SS Minnow, but they became castaways.
Yeah, no, that was perfection.
Yeah. Well, and I stand by this as well. God bless Bob Denver. He's a very talented man, but at a certain point, he just needed a good ass kicking, Ron. Some of the shenanigans I feel like could have been curtailed with one good beating from the skipper. How many fuck ups can you abide before you finally have to mete out some island justice, Ron?
Island justice, huh? I know, but the show just wouldn't. The show wouldn't have been the show without that. Yeah, the show wouldn't have been the show without that. So
this is true, and this show wouldn't be the show that we have without me saying to you, "What the fuck, Ron?" The best production value right there on this program or any other. Yeah, let's just hold that for a couple more seconds. I want it on a t-shirt. I don't care what anybody else says. I will buy and wear that t-shirt any day of the week. Look at it. It's so great. I didn't think they were going to take it down for a second there, Ron. But anyway, what the fuck?
Pay attention. Pay attention to your mailbox this week. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Pay attention.
All right. You just put a hop in my step.
My name's not Ronnie T-shirts for no reason. Just pay attention. So Kamala Harris decided to throw a tweet out Saturday early evening. She might be the most tone deaf, doesn't know how to read the room person in the history of the world. Hopefully we can throw that tweet up there. I'm going to go ahead and read it. The people of Lebanon are facing an increasingly dire humanitarian situation. I'm concerned about the security and well-being of civilians suffering in Lebanon and will continue working to help meet the needs of all civilians there. To that end, the United States will provide nearly $157 million in additional assistance to the people of Lebanon for essential needs such as food, shelter, water protection, and sanitation to help those who have been displaced by the recent conflict. The additional support brings total U.S. assistance to Lebanon over the last year to over $385 million. The people of North Carolina want to know, what the actual fuck did you just tweet? How can she tweet that when what's going on in North Carolina is going on in North Carolina? So whether the government is helping the people of North Carolina right now, the impression that we all have outside of North Carolina is they're not doing everything they can. Would you agree with that statement?
From what I can ascertain, it would seem that the response has been underwhelming.
Okay,
underwhelming to say the least.
Even if they're doing a great job right now, that's not what the perception. And she tweets this out. Ricky, how can you be this tone deaf?
Yeah, I don't get it. I really don't get it. I don't know, particularly. I mean, look. We're a month out from the election. So everything that you do, whether you're Kamala Harris or whether you're Donald Trump, you have to believe that there is an undercurrent of election strategy there. I have a wise friend who I won't name who said that, maybe that's an appeal that she thinks will play well in Michigan. That if Michigan is too close for comfort, maybe that is something that the Democrats in that particular state might be heartened to hear. But I look at these things very cynically. It's hard to believe that you could possibly be that tone deaf, because anything that first of all, she didn't write that tweet, right? The one thing I'll say about Donald Trump is, whatever you think about him, he writes his own tweets. When he sends a tweet out, and look, unless I'm super naive, because I feel like if he wasn't the one doing them, other people they'd be doing a better job of editing him. Right? So when Donald Trump sends a tweet out, he sends a tweet out. Just like when you send a tweet out, you send it out. When I send a tweet out, I send it out. Whenever you see a tweet that says Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, you know that it has been written by a staff member somewhere. And Biden, he probably doesn't even know what they're sending out and attaching his name to. And people respond to this, well, like they're arguing with Joe Biden. Like, you're not arguing with Joe Biden. He doesn't have any fucking idea what they're posting on X. And Kamala Harris, well, she, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt that she at least knows what they're putting her name to, but she in no way wrote that. She in no way put that together. And I doubt that it was in any way actually her decision. It was the decision that somebody smarter than her, or somebody presumably smarter than her who thinks they're smarter than her, told her, hey, here's what we're going to do. And she cackled a couple of times and said, okay, so to me, it's a slap in the face, because really, truly, what happened to the idea of America first? Americans, most importantly. Somehow or another, things have flipped around, and I'm all good with America being a force for good in the world globally, and America doing certain humanitarian things around the world. But what happened to taking care of tax-paying American citizens who have lost most, if not all, of everything that they have in a natural disaster that has occurred here on American soil? That should be the fucking priority, Ron.
And I can't even fathom what it had to feel like to find out about this tweet, because honestly, there's a lot of people there, from my understanding, they don't have electricity. There's very little cell coverage at this point still. And at some point, they're going to find out about this tweet. They haven't, they don't have water. They don't have running water. They don't have electricity. And they see this. Like, I just can't even imagine what that must feel like. While
we're hearing about how we don't have the funds to do everything that we need to do,
FEMA's out of money,
hurricane victims. The money always gets produced from somewhere, though, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. We cry poor, but then if it's Ukraine, it seems like there's an endless fucking supply of money. If it's this, well, we can just produce $157 million or whatever it is, just right out of our ass. Where is the ability to magically produce money for Americans who have lost their homes? That would be my question.
I'm rarely speechless, and this isn't affecting me personally, and it frustrates me so much, Ricky. It's so frustrating. And it's just one of these things, we've said on this show before, do your research, vote for who you want to vote for. But I'm not even mad at Kamala. I'm mad at the people that are like, yeah, she's the answer for our country. This is awful. This is, my God, this isn't like people are just struggling in Nashville or Chicago, and this is literally, these people are on the brink of death, Ricky. Like, they don't have homes. They don't have anything. This isn't just like an inconvenience. Like, this is the brink of death. And she's like, I'm so proud to announce. And so whether she wrote this or not, she does know that it went out. and they left it up. That thing's still up. So I just
Well, Ron, maybe I could persuade you back into, bringing her into your good graces by reminding you that she's so brat. This campaign's about joy, Ron. Where's your joy? You've lost your joy. She's plotting a new way forward. I kept seeing her commercials during the football games yesterday. It's a new way forward. It's like you've been in office for 3.5 years. She's running. The thing that's so amazing is that she's running like she's an outsider. And this woman has been the only person in the White House, president or vice president, that's, at full mental capacity for the last 3.5 years. Okay, well, Hey, OutKick fans on YouTube, if you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button and make your way over to OutKick.com where you can watch the full episode.